Hello everyone, my name is Roya, and I'm coming to you with the books that I read in the latter half of October. I'm still living in a rental house while this house is being repaired. I still can't live here, but I'm coming back here to film, all that stuff. So yeah, as usual, while this has been going on, my entire reading progress has not been super fantastic or anything. So I only read 3 books in the latter half of October, but that's still not really that bad. But it is, quality is better than quantity anyway. That's what's most important, and I did have a pretty good reading month. The first book that I read in the latter half of October is Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shauna McGuire. This is the 7th book in her Wayward Children series, which is a series about a boarding school for kids who went to other worlds, came back, and can't deal with being back, essentially. So in this particular installment, one of our main characters has recently, in the last couple of books, gone to some other people's worlds instead of going, she would love to go back to her own, but she can't, and so she's gone to a couple of other people's worlds because of the adventures that they've had in the series kind of took her there, and something really bad happened to her there. So she decides she wants to transfer to a school that is for making kids forget that they went to other worlds and to think that it's like a delusion and all of that stuff, because she would rather just be normal, essentially, whatever the hell normal is. But so she does that, and this fucking school is so messed up, and they really try to make like everything really difficult for the kids there. Like, they try to make them do all the opposite things from what they did in that world. So if they went to like a really nature-filled world, they basically aren't allowed to go outside, that type of stuff. It's really weird. And there are a lot of parallels to kind of what goes on politically, at least in the US. Like, there's a whole discussion about people shouldn't be going to other worlds just because that's how some people think it should be. When it's like, who says, basically? Like, why should what some people want for no particular reason dictate what everybody does, kind of? And so like, very few of the kids going to that school are there voluntarily. For the most part, the vast majority of them are people who were forced to go there by their parents and stuff like that. And so, like, all hell breaks loose once the main character realizes that something more nefarious is going on there, and it's not just, like, there are reasons why they're making all these kids' lives difficult and all that stuff, so it leads to this whole thing, and it's really, really interesting and really well thought out and really high stakes. I mean, even compared to, like, the rest of the series, this is probably the most high stakes one, and I really enjoyed reading it. It was so good. I think it might be my favorite in the series. And then the next book that I read is Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. This is a loose retelling of The Goose Girl, but told from, it's basically if the Goose Girl was told from the point of view of the maid who replaces the princess. And so it's really weird. I actually, like, I expected to really like this book. I like Goose Girl retellings, and all the main characters are queer. The main character and her love interest are both demi-ace, and then the other 2 main characters are girls who like girls. And so I was mostly like reading it for that, and I could not believe how absorbed into this book I got. I could not put it down. It was so weird. So basically the main character is a thief. She has replaced the princess. She made herself look like her and everything through an enchantment and everything. It all gets explained in the book pretty much, where basically, and she's not trying to be that like that permanently. She's just trying to get enough money and jewels that she can sell to be able to like leave and go somewhere else, because it's all about survival to her. She's been a thief her whole life, all of that. And so at some point, like, she gets cursed, and she only has a couple of weeks to live and to give back what she took, and she's not sure what that means. And so she starts off thinking, well, I have to give the princess's life back to her. And so she starts doing that, basically, but then that doesn't really seem to be what it means, and all kinds of stuff. So it's really weird, but basically the main characters all have to stop this Margrave guy who's like evil as fuck, and he's like so egotistical, it's ridiculous. And it turns out that there's more to him than just how bad he is on the surface level. He's actually even worse. And he made a deal with like all these spirit people and everything where he's really trying to like kill everybody so that he can be like emperor and all kinds of stuff. And I really enjoyed this book the whole way through. I think there were a couple of places where I think the magic system could have been a little bit better explained. There were a couple of things magically going on where nothing else in the book was like that, and I kind of went like, wait, why are they able to do this? And it wasn't explained as much, but overall the whole thing was pretty well thought out. The world building was really interesting too, because it's basically it's a fantasy world, but it is also supposed to kind of be olden day medievally Germany with magic. And so all the like there is language and words for stuff, but it's like one letter different from the actual German word and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, so it's like, okay, like that makes sense. Like it's trying to be like a fantasy world and stuff like that, but still staying true to the kind of the source material. It's really weird, and it actually works pretty well. At first I wasn't sure how I felt about it, but like the more I read through the book, like the more sense it made. But anyway, I really enjoyed this book and I highly recommend it. And the last book that I read in the latter half of October is Heavy Metal Symphony by Alyssa Palombo. I actually picked up this book because I saw it on Twitter and I thought it seemed really good. Basically, the author had, like, on the day of its release, she tweeted a line from Nightwish, which is my favorite band, and she put a post about her book on it, and I was like, that's really rad, actually. Like, I picked it up and I read it, and basically it's about this girl who is a classically trained singer, and she's, you know, initially just she wasn't thinking of being a, you know, a metal singer or anything like that. She was like an opera-ish singer doing like recitals and stuff. Like she went to like music school for that and blah blah blah. And then she discovers this really awesome band, and she ends up meeting them, and she ends up dating the keyboard player, and he's like collaborating with her on her recitals and stuff. And then one day the singer of the band just like leaves in the middle of a tour, and they are like really in a pinch, and they call the main character and say, hey, can you fly to New York and blah blah blah. So she ends up filling in for them, and then she's like not anyone famous, not anyone who's ever been in a band at all, and suddenly she's in a famous band. So you can see it's very much based on Nightwish a lot. If you know anything about Nightwish, basically like that is kind of what happened, only without the romantic involvement between the people at all. The story is told in dual perspectives. It's told pretty linearly between the past, from when she like first met the guy and joined the band and blah blah blah, and the present, which is really like 2016 2017. It was an interesting format to read that in, but I think it actually really worked because you see it, and in the present they're like breaking up, or the two main characters are breaking up, not the band, and they're recording an album, and things are like really weird. And then in the past you see how it got to that point, like how things were already shaping up to be like that, how their relationship was really not as good as they thought it would be and everything. You can already see that in the past chapters, kind of. And yeah, so the whole thing is really interesting. I really enjoyed it. The author actually is a classically trained singer and stuff like that. And so so it definitely was pretty well researched for the most part. Like I found very few things where I went like, they wouldn't really do that and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a really enjoyable read, and it read really fast too. And I also think it's kind of funny that if there's one thing I pretty much never read in the is it's adult contemporary, and in the entire history of my having this booktube channel for almost 7 years, I think I've only read two, technically three adult contemporaries, and yet this is the fourth adult contemporary that I've read. And then I'm also currently reading another adult contemporary right now. It's just really odd. But anyway, I really enjoyed all three books that I read in October. Let me know if you've read any of these, have any thoughts on them. It is kind of funny that they're also all new releases. All three of them, they like just came out in the past like month. Actually, wait, Where the Drowned Girls Go isn't even out yet. So it comes out early 2022. So please keep an eye out for that. And you can, of course, that gives you plenty of time to read the rest of the Wayward Children series if you haven't read it. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know if you think I should bring TBRs back this month, because at the moment, since I'm not able to live in my house, I haven't really wanted to film TBR videos at all, because I just kind of take a certain amount of books with me over to where I'm actually staying right now. And so making a TBR feels very sad to me right now, because I don't know, it's really weird. I have no idea. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!